Hello guys, this is Brian Tubbs coming at you with another video. Today is kind of a follow-up of the last video I did when I was showing you guys how I bend metal with a pipe. And I was bending metal for these donuts. And so I got the metal kind of tacked on there. As you can see, it looks nice and smooth. You don't see any, like low spots or dips or anything like that. Everything looks pretty smooth. And so what I want to do now on this video is just show you guys how I kind of tack these donuts up, whether it's a donut or whatever you're making. If you have an outer perimeter and then you have something on the inside, you want to tack them up in a certain way. And that if you don't tack them up correctly, when you start welding your metal, once you finish, you'll look at it and it'll be wavy. You have waves going all the way around here. These high spots, low spots all throughout on both sides, and there'll be nothing that you can do about it because you waited too late. You didn't see these waves forming as you were welding up the piece. So I'm just going to show you guys, what I've learned, from the first few times I did these things. Whether you're using 14 gauge as on the face, or like I'm using right now, 11 gauge, it doesn't matter. The 14 gauge has a greater tendency to kind of wave, even if you do the right techniques. But I've not seen 11 gauge, get the waves in it once you do the technique correctly. So I'm going to move you guys in so you can get a closer look. All right, guys, so I'm back. Okay, now the technique that I use when I'm doing something like this is I will go around and put as many tacks on here as I possibly can, on the inside and on the outside. And I don't start welding this side until I flip this over and do the same thing on the back side as far as tacks. So what you want to do is you want to have, like I say, as many tacks as you can get, just to keep this thing from warping. Because let's say if I started welding now, you have a big area right here that doesn't have a tack. Because what I was doing, I was just putting the skin on, and I was just kind of tacking it in certain places just to hold the skin on. And then I'll show you another thing that I do. After I get the skin tacked on, wherever the seam is, where these two pieces come together, I'll take my MIG welder and just run a bead along that seam. And then what I'll do most times, I'll take my TIG welder and go back over and smooth the seam down and just make sure it's penetrated in good. But that's how I close the seam off. And when you're doing a seam like this, you don't want your metal too tight. You don't want it too tight because when you weld it, it's going to raise up. So what I do is I leave a slight little gap in there, just a slight little gap, just wide enough for my TIG rod to fit in there, or if I'm using a MIG or my MIG wire, to be able to touch both sides of that of the opening. So when I'm welding, I'm not blowing holes. But you don't want these two edges jammed up together, because they're going to raise up. And then you're going to have all this smooth area here, and then you have this high spot here. And you can take a hammer, you can do anything you want to. You're not going to get rid of that because the metal is just raised right in this area right here. All right, so let me just kind of explain what I'm doing. I have my got my helmet on. my gloves, my TIG, my flat finger, and I'm just using 308, 332nd stainless steel rod, so nothing big, no big deal. My welder is set at 90 amps. So we'll go ahead and get going. So what I do is, even with the tacks that are already on here, I'll take my TIG welder and heat those up just to make sure they melt in. Because I was just using a 340 MIG welder, these tacks are probably not strong enough to hold this metal down once I start welding it in these certain areas, because it's going to want to pull up or suck down. So I just go around and just put heat on all of these just to melt them in, just to make sure they're penetrated into the metal. All right, so let's get started here. So I went over the tack that was there, and I'm going to move over about an inch. I'm going to move another inch, about another tack. And I'm going to just keep doing this. Here's a tack that was already here. I'm going to heat that up, burn it in. And you can go 1.5 inches, 2 inches if you want to. But I've just been doing this so long, I kind of know what to expect. So if you can go 1 inch, that'll be better. I'm just going full pedal, just burning in quickly, because I don't want this metal to heat up too much before I get my tacks in. In some areas I go a little bit closer than 1 inch. It just depends on what's going on in that section. Like in this area here, this vertical wall is a little bit taller. The vertical wall is a little bit taller than this horizontal plate on top. So I'll use this wall to weld some of these areas in once I start tigging it in. So the key here is just getting a lot of tacks, more than you think you need. Because I've had some of these look like an ocean. Looked like an ocean after I was finished with them early on. It would be so wavy. And I mean, that can be a good thing. Just depends on what you're making. But for what I'm using this donut for, I don't want to have too many waves, or not any at all if I can. Now here's that area with no tacks. I got to be sure to get this. And like I said, I'm just going full pedal. And I'm hot enough where as soon as I touch the pedal, I can form a pool, a weld puddle. I don't want to have to sit here for 10 seconds, 15 seconds trying to get that puddle to start. Because what you'll be doing then is putting too much heat into the metal, and it'll start warping. I know some people think that if you leave your welder, your amperage lower and have not be so hot, that it's better. But no, you want it hot, you want to be able to get in and get out before that metal starts to warp. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the inside and do the same thing. And like I said before, I start welding. Now if I start welding this side after I do these tacks, when I flip it over, it'll be wavy because all the heat's going to transfer to the other side, and wherever there's not many tacks, it's going to just start raising up. I've had that happen plenty of times. It takes longer to do it like this, but that's okay. I'd rather take a little extra time now than having to be upset later because everything is warped. So I'm just on the pedal, then I'm off the pedal. On, off. And I'm not staying in that one spot. Once I see the metal go liquid, I dip and then get out. So this is the key to it, guys. And in this area, what I'm doing is I'm putting most of the heat on this 11 gauge and pulling the puddle. I'm pulling from this inner tube here, pulling out to the horizontal plate. And so if I start welding now, like I said, when I turn this thing over, it'll be warped really, really bad. So you have to turn it over and and do the same thing. Okay, if you guys can see this, right in this area, there are no tacks in there. Might be a few on the back side, but not much. So there's a pretty good gap here, large enough to stick the tip of my screwdriver in there. So what I'm gonna do in this area is just do more of a lay wire technique. I'm not going to just heat it up and dip my rod in there, because it can start burning away this metal. So what I'll be doing is laying my wire in there, and then hitting it with the torch, and then it should attach to both walls. Now just tack it up like I'm doing everything else, and then when I get back to this, I'm not sure if I'll be doing it on camera or not, but when I get back to it, I'll just be doing a lay wire technique all the way around on this. But first I have to get everything tacked up. All right, here we go. I just doubled it up that time. I put a bead on the outside and then a bead on the vertical wall, because that was a really big gap right there. So I guess all that's to say, you don't have to be afraid of large gaps. As long as you know how to do, like in this case, the lay wire technique, it's not a big deal. But if you did not know how to do the lay wire technique, then that could be an issue, because you'll be putting heat in there, and your walls will start burning away, melting away. Then you'll be spending a lot of time trying to fill these big craters, big gaps, big holes. So now you know the lay wire technique, if you hadn't known that, you didn't know it before. I think I talked about it on some other videos a while ago. I'm doing the lay wire technique here somewhat. The gap is not quite as big. But in some areas I'm still doing the lay wire technique, even with the smaller gaps. Alright, so now I'm going to go around the outside and just start tacking the outer perimeter. And by doing it this way, you save yourself a lot of headache. So I'm saying about every inch. And if you're using a make welder or stick welder, same thing, same technique, doesn't matter. And like I said before, all the tacks that I put there with my make welder, I'm going over those, melting those in, making sure they're hot and penetrated in. I'm just going quickly. I'm not messing around. I'm just going quickly in and out. Friend of mine who's a really good artist. I mean, does good work. I'm not sure that he knows about this technique. I haven't talked to him about it, but he did a large sculpture for a mall, really large mall, and he did a donut, a large one. Probably 5-6 feet diameter, and it looks like an ocean because he didn't use this technique. Now, if I was making something that large, the majority of my time would have been spent tacking. I may not have even ran any beads. I probably just did everything just with tacks. It would have taken longer, but I wouldn't have the headache of this humongous piece looking like an ocean. Now, certain sculptures where I don't want any wave, I will tack the entire thing. I won't run any beads. I'll just tack. I'll just put tacks like I'm doing now, and then I'll come back, do the same thing. I'll let it cool down, come back, do the same thing until every section is completely welded, but it'll be all done with tacks. No beads, just tacks. And of course, letting everything cool down in between. Like I say, I'm doing this right now. I'll walk away from it, let it cool down, and then I'll come back and go between those tacks, let that cool down, and I'll just keep doing that. And that way I have a better chance of it not, warping. I mean, I know you can, if it warps, I can use my TIG torch, or I can use my acetylene torch and heat it up and cool it down to shrink it and everything, but I don't want to waste that time doing that. So if I can prevent it from the start, I would do that. That was pretty quick. So it doesn't take that much time, guys. It doesn't take that much time. We'll get this one little area right here again. And so now, with all these tacks around here, it's safe to weld now because there's no large areas without a tack. And I see one tack right here. I'm going to hit that because that was from the MIG weld. I'm just going to hit it and just make sure it's penetrated. Because if you don't go, if you're going to use a MIG welder, go hot. Like I said, I just use my a little 140, just run some quick tacks. But had I used my other welder, my big one, I wouldn't have to go back and, and melt it in with my my TIG. But it's something I decided to do. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just weld this one inside up. I'm gonna have to kind of lay wire over this area here, so I got that big gap there. And I think I'll start here on the big gap side. And I'm going to be trying to pull the heat, pull my my wire from this, put the heat on this plate, and trying to pull it from this inner lip right here, trying to pull it over, because this lip is pretty thin. All right, here we go. I'm just laying the wire in there. Just going right over with the torch. And I'm pushing the wire in as I go. Because if you don't push it in, you're melting the rod away. Before you know it, your rod will be too far back and you have a big hole right there. So you gotta keep pushing to the hole. And like you saw, this gap was large enough to stick the screwdriver head in there. So now my gap is pretty decent. Now I'll just go ahead and just start just dabbing like I normally would. A little larger gap again. So I'll just do my lay wire. I'm getting in and getting out as fast as I can. As long as you stay in one spot, the greater chances of it warping. All right, let me go ahead and close this out. Trying to keep my tungsten pretty close to that to the material. Keep my heat from spreading out too much. Because if my heat spread out too much, I'll start running over into this area down in here. And then when I grind this down, I got to worry about getting down in there, trying to get the weld out. So I just try and keep my heat on this plate out here and pulling the this metal over to this horizontal plate. So now, I think that's going to do it for the welding portion, because you guys get it. But what I'll do now is I'll flip this over. I won't do out here. I'm gonna flip this over, and I will do this side right here, because whatever I do on the back side, I want to do it on this side. So I'll do this side next, flip it over, do the perimeter, and then flip it back over and do the perimeter on this side. Because by doing that, I'll give this a chance to cool down some, so I'm not putting my arm across all that heat trying to do it out here. So I'll flip it over. But I think you guys get the picture. So I don't think it's worth, or any need to do that. I just explained to you, and I know you guys are smart. You'll pick it up and you'll be, do what I do. So all right, guys, that's my technique for keeping this thing from warping. And I run my hand over it like this. No warps, nothing warped at all. It's just as smooth as it was when I first cut it off the plate before I even welded it up. It's that smooth. No dips, no low spots, no high spots, none of that. Same thing over here. Really, really, really smooth. But before I learned to do it like this, I taught myself to do it like this, my hand would have been going up and down because of all the waves in it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. And I hope either you were able to learn something, or kind of brought back memories of what you already knew or something like that. But hopefully this was valuable to to a few of you guys, or most of you guys, hopefully, so you can learn how to do this. And even if you're not doing something similar to this, like this, it's still, tacks is the best way to keep things from warping. Whether you're making a large sculpture or whatever you're doing, just put as many tacks on it as you possibly can. Don't have a tack here and a tack, spread out a foot or 6 inches. Try to get your tacks as close as you can, and you'll have less waves in your sculptures. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one, and I hope to see you on the next one. I'm not sure what I'll be doing, but I'll be doing something as usual. And as usual, peace out.